Good evening. I call this meeting of the Lake Country Classical Academy Board to order at 6:00 p.m. on Wednesday, May 15th, 2024. In accordance with the Wisconsin Open Meetings Law, required public notice of this meeting ran in the Saturday, May 11th issue of the Waukesha Freeman, was posted on the LCCA website and the front entry doors at both campuses. The mission of LCCA is to train the minds and improve the hearts of young people through content-rich classical education in the liberal arts and sciences with instruction in the principles of moral character and civic virtue. Please rise and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please let the roll call show that all board members are present this evening with the exception of Tom Brannigan and Skylar File. On to agenda and minutes. So we have a motion to approve the minutes from last month's meeting, April 17th, 2024, as well as the agenda of this meeting. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the April 17th, 2024 meeting and the agenda for this meeting.
Okay. Second?
Second the motion.
Okay. Is there any discussion? I don't see it. Not to the agenda, but to last month's meeting. Alright, it has been motioned and seconded to approve the meetings from the April 17th, 2024 meeting and the agenda of this meeting. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. And the motion passes. And we're moving on to Citizens Forum. So, new to the agenda this month, first of all, we're going to be adding a title or an item called Board Response, which allows the board, at its discretion when needed, to address select topics of concerns relating to governance from the previous month's Citizens Forum. Many of the public comments made at our April 17th board meeting were focused on operational concerns, and the board continues to encourage parents to communicate directly with school leadership on these matters, as comments made at the Citizens Forum are not considered formal communication to school leadership. For the past two board meetings, concerns have been raised by a group of families who would like to see our high school students move to LCCA's future one campus site ahead of the elementary and middle school students, should our one campus building project need to be completed in phases. It's important to note that no decision on phasing, whether or not it's even necessary, has been made at this point. We have heard everyone's thoughtful concerns and rationale, and the board will take everything into consideration when it comes time for the board to make this decision. So the board will deliberate and make a decision on possible phased approach if needed at a later date. But until then, we'd appreciate everyone's patience as our school administration and board work through the rezoning process and financing processes. There's nothing further to report on the one campus project at this time, other than the next meeting with the Village of Summit will be held tomorrow evening, May 16th at 5:30 p.m. Members of the school community are welcome to attend to hear what's discussed and show your support for our school just by being physically present. Thank you, and with that, Board Secretary, are there any public comments for this meeting? Yes. Okay. So we will move on to the new public comments. The public comment section of the agenda provides an opportunity for stakeholders of the school to offer their views on any topic. Comments offered under this section will not be immediately responded to by the board in open session, nor be the subject of board discussion or debate. The board president, at his discretion, may respond later to those who provide public comment. Stakeholders who wish to make a comment must have completed and submitted a brief form to the board secretary prior to the beginning of the meeting, and comments will be limited to 3 minutes per individual. If you're nearing the end of your 3 minutes, I will signal you with a thumbs up when you have about 30 seconds left. Thank you for your cooperation, and we appreciate your feedback. So with that, we will go with the first one. It's, do you want to announce this?
First of all, we have Emily Jawlowski.
Okay. For over 2 years, I have quietly and consistently attended board meetings. I have silently showed my support for the school. However, I've recently felt convicted to share my perspective. So, on the heels of Teacher Appreciation Week, I'm here to publicly say thank you. Thank you to the board for your time, your efforts, and your continued contribution to LCCA. Your work is appreciated. And thank you to Ms. Daly. Without you, I don't believe we would still have a school. You stepped up when we needed a leader and have selflessly served since then. You exemplify the school virtues: wisdom, honesty, respect, responsibility, and courage. You uphold the mission of the school and thoughtfully make decisions through that lens, the lens of mission. You are a leader worth following. You have my full support and endless gratitude. Thank you.
Next up, we have Brandy McStory.
I would like to do the same as Emily Gajewski. I wanted to share my gratitude and my appreciation for being able to be a part of LCCA, not just as a staff member, but also as a parent. I've worked at four other schools for 7 other administrators, and by and large, Ms. Dainey is one of the best administrators I've worked for and worked with, because that's how we work at LCCA. We work together. The administrators come along beside us and help us to see that things get done. The decisions that she makes are based on the long-term success of our school, and I can see that as a staff member and as a parent. We don't want the school just to be here until my kid graduates. I want it to be here for decades to come for my, hopefully someday, grandchildren. And my family is thankful for LCCA. I have a daughter at West, and she loves it. We have been so happy with her academic success and achievements, and that she's been challenged, and the friends that she have. We love the culture where social media is not the norm for all of the kids. They're not overly influenced by that, because the parents hold the same values, and we appreciate that and are so thankful for that. I also love the culture that I get to work in, the camaraderie of the staff, and that's from the head down. That's because we are appreciated, we are valued, and that's why I'm here, and I hope to stay here, and thank you for all that you guys have done.
Next is Patty.
I guess I just want to echo off of what Emily said and what Brandy said. I consider myself a founding teacher since I was here from the beginning, and I don't know, board, thank you so much for all your hard work. I know that it's endless and tireless, and I appreciate all that you guys do. So I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but I reside in Oak Creek, and that is an hour drive, one way. And you might think I'm crazy. Yeah, I am a little bit. But anyways, why do I do what I do? I do it because I got some pretty incredible kids. All 3 years I've had some pretty amazing kids, and I've met some wonderful parents. And most importantly, I'm kind of echoing off of what Brandy said and what Emily said, that our team, our administration is a well-oiled machine. We know how to come alongside each other and build each other up. We work together. We help get the kids the things that they need, and if we don't have that capability, we can reach out to administration and they're gonna help us out. And that is something that I so appreciate, because I've been in situations where you're on your own. So I so very much appreciate it. Is it hard? Yeah, absolutely. Is it rewarding? Yeah, it is. Is it worth it? Absolutely. Would I continue to drive an hour each way every day? Yes. Because I believe in the mission of LCCA and the administration and the board, and I support you guys 100%, and thank you. Hashtag best decision ever.
Okay, next up we have Autumn Young.
I am speaking both as a parent and a teacher here at LCCA to express my gratitude and support for the leaders at LCCA and in general for the existence of LCCA. So as a parent, I'm very happy, I'm very satisfied, very just over the moon with my son's education. I actually have 3 sons, and I plan to have them all go through He's in kindergarten. He started in the beginning of the year with not knowing how to read, and now he reads fluently, he reads beautifully, he reads books. It's wonderful. It's so impressive the progress he's made in 1 year. And not only does he have the ability to read well, he loves to read. He'll open up books at home, he'll read to his little siblings. It's a beautiful thing. Also, his handwriting is incredible. It's better than mine. It's beautiful handwriting, and he writes in complete sentences, and he even creates the content for his own sentences, and he's 6 years old. He enjoys math so much. I mean, just the curriculum and the teachers and everything built into the way that things are taught at our school. It's just amazing. He'll riddle off math in the car, at home, just loves it. Socially, he's made so much friends. He loves his classmates. He talks well about his classmates, just overjoyed. And I think LCCA provides those opportunities for regular social interaction for our kids, and it's a beautiful thing. So overall, I'm very happy as a parent with LCCA, and I am excited to have my other 2 sons attend. As a teacher, I am so grateful and thankful. I have the privilege and honor to work with such a talented, supportive, and kind staff and leadership team. I enjoy partnering with wonderful families to help their children grow. I love the opportunity to teach these beautiful children that attend LCCA. And then both as a parent and a teacher, I love how we focus on virtues. That's the first thing we do every morning at assembly. It's about virtue. It's about being a good person, a person of character. That I think is just amazing, both as a teacher and as a parent. And I appreciate the beautiful balance of how our administration does what is best for students, families, and staff. That's not an easy task, and they do it beautifully, the balance. And I'd love to end with, the LCCA community is something beautiful and unique and was intentionally designed to be beautiful and unique. I'm thankful for our leaders who help create and sustain what makes LCCA such a treasure for staff, parents, and students. And I feel lucky and blessed to be a part of it. Thank you for your time.
Next up we have Lisa McCloskey.
Good afternoon, board members, parents, and faculty. My name is Lisa McCloskey. My daughter Grace is an 8th grader at the West Campus. 3 years ago, I'm thankful to have found a school that is safe from the woke culture that is rampant in most schools today. From that point on, a sense of community and acceptance was an experience that was not felt from the home district we came from. If this school existed when my boys were in elementary and high school, without hesitation, I would have enrolled them here. Right now, 2 of them are serving active duty and 1 in college right now. We all have unique individuals, and although I echo some of the sentiment that was already said in the room, I'm going to give you a different perspective. We're all unique individuals, and we all process learning in different ways. This does not mean we're unable to learn. In fact, we learn in different ways. Educators don't change the essence of a child in order to learn. Educators adapt, modify the environment and curriculum in order for the child to learn and be successful. All enveloped do not give up on the child. For the past 3 semesters, it became clear that rather than strategizing and devoting energy to helping and advocating to help my daughter, the special ed department focused on collecting and color-coding data to prove why my daughter can no longer attend the school. So much so that she was not welcome to return the spring semester. My husband and I have advocated for her to stay as long as we agreed, quote unquote agreed, to enroll her in our home district for fall of 2024. It also became clear to us that our home district didn't want my daughter back either. I decided then to re-enroll my daughter here just to save her spot as a safety measure, only to receive an email from the SPED director that because I did this, we would have to call an IEP meeting to determine her finishing out the year at a different school. It's sad to know that if an institution like a brick and mortar school will not accept your child with disability, where are we supposed to go? Of all places that ought to be accepting, I thought it would be school. I thought it would be here. The special ed department does need reform for sure. Take a look at the family survey. If the school were to be inclusive and to maintain the reputation that it's built, that many naysayers try to tear down,
and they're a resource to assist the special ed team in all facets of their job. Sources like CISA, Wisconsin CAS, Disability Rights, and yes, even DPI, and special ed conferences throughout the state. Reform also begins with a new seasoned special ed director and principal who will advocate for all students. Your mission, as you know, you stated what your mission is. So kids are going to be grown people longer than they're going to be students. What good is this mission when they do not know how to interact and advocate with the most marginalized and vulnerable population of our society?
Next up we have Chris, is it Repke?
Repke. I just came to thank the board for, we've been here since the beginning, 3 years, and we transferred from Milwaukee, and we were driving 45 miles one way every day, 4 times a day. And if I would have known what the school was, I would have drove double the distance. We have had nothing but praise for LCCA, all our teachers, the staff, everybody we've come in contact with have been, nothing has exceeded our expectations. We are truly blessed to be part of the LCCA community. And I'm a restaurant owner in Milwaukee, and just last week my high school algebra teacher came in, and he was talking to me about my daughter, and he said, you asked where I was going, and I mentioned Lake Country Classical, and he said, they're doing really good things there. He is retired from St. Francis High School. He taught at Muskego High School. He's a tutor, and I was explaining some of the math that my daughter in 6th grade does, and he is simply amazed. He's like, he goes, I really applaud parents who take the time to care about their kids' education, and LCCA has been nothing but a blessing for us to care about our kids' education. So it's just an open-ended thank you. Thank you to all the teachers, all the administration, all the board. Thank you for your hard work. So God bless you all.
Okay, next up we have Crystal Robicki.
They usually get us.
Yeah, the other red.
I know, I'm the other, are you are? Okay, you know, I haven't come to one of these yet, because we chose to come to Lake Country Classical Academy for a reason. I used to be a regular attendee at school board meetings, and they left me with heart palpitations and sleepless nights because they were so aggressive. So I'm just thankful that we are in a spot, my son and myself working for LCCA, that I have complete confidence in the school board, that I don't feel a need to be coming. I only come tonight to show you and to speak my support 100%. I have never had a doubt in my mind. And I guess I apologize for not showing up and giving you my support. And I feel like a lot of parents do that, they just don't show up because they know that we have a mission. And like for my family, the policies, the procedures, the mission fall in line with our values. And I know that you guys are gonna make decisions that are gonna benefit the students and the staff. And that's everything in my notes here. Oh, I love working at LCCA. I thank God every day for LCCA, not only for my job, but to have the school for my children. In fact, my son Sawyer says, I love LCCA, and he says, I wanna go there forever. And that says a lot, because he was at 3 different schools before LCCA. So thank you, board. I know that it takes a lot of time, and actually, I don't have any idea what else you have to deal with. But I also wanna thank Margaret. Margaret, I can't imagine how challenging your role is here at LCCA, and I just wanna thank you for being a fearless leader, and I really hope that you feel this unexpected support tonight, because we all appreciate you.
Okay, next up. Aubrey Sampson.
I think it's important to state that we can have gratitude for the school, and we are tremendously grateful for everything that you guys do. I honestly can't imagine the hours that you put in. But also acknowledge that there's room for improvement. So I do hope that you can see the spirit that my husband and I have been emailing you guys, and know that we want the school to be successful. But I'd like to speak tonight on the topic of rigor. I've addressed this in an email first to the administration and then to the board. The title of that email was GPA concerns. I'm speculating, but it's my hope that some of those concerns will be alleviated tonight with a shift in how the GPAs are weighted. However, I think a part of my concerns will, pertaining to rigor, will remain unaddressed. It's common knowledge that colleges like to see well-rounded applicants, kids with strong GPAs and high test scores, kids who have participated in extracurriculars, sports, volunteered, and held down a job. The current rigor at LCCA is keeping many of our high school and middle school students from achieving that balance and well-roundedness. We don't want for the curriculum to be watered down, but we do ask the board and administration to take steps to tone down the demands currently being placed on high school students. A high GPA should be achievable through hard work and natural aptitudes, but a young adult should not need to sacrifice their social network, income stream, development of physical skills and or talents, and especially time with family to achieve it.
Okay, next up we have Cindy Gawan.
So I'm just going to touch base on Robert's Rules of Order since it seems to be confusing for a lot of people. So section 9.5 is the section that I think everyone should take a look at. The public comment section, it involves how the board can conduct themselves if they so choose, and how the audience conducts themselves. I'm only speaking on this because I live it every day. So it's my job, it's what I do. Last meeting, and I think at previous ones that I wasn't at, it was said that the board is not allowed or can't comment when a public comment is made, which is not correct. There is a statement in that section that refers to the board and how they can respond. Now, the chairperson on the board is allowed to respond, if they so choose. Further discussion on that is not permitted during the meeting. So, to say that a board chairperson, Tom, cannot comment or respond is not correct. So I would just encourage going forward, unfortunately Tom's not here, but like at the last meeting, he wanted to interact with the parents that were talking and he was told not to. So if Tom were to choose to do that, it should be more than legal to do so. That's all I have to say.
Okay, next up we have Andrea Hesse.
Hey, thanks. I agree that there is room for both gratitude and improvement. A call for improvement does not diminish the appreciation that someone can bring, or the willingness or effort that people have offered and then declined, for a number of reasons. I have a couple of things that I'd like to say. I personally have run into and been disappointed to understand that the board has adopted policies that I think abdicate your responsibility. There is no check and balance. In that situation, we in the history books call that a monarchy. I'm struggling with the adoption of some of the current policies. At the end of the day, I respect the chain of command. I have leveraged the chain of command. I've had a number of open conversations with Mr. Wagner. I am not here to reflect on him at all. He has been more than gracious and more than professional in hearing me. However, when I see such board policies and then hear things at the opening like public comments are not considered formal communication with the school, I would argue that there is no further formal communication that can happen based on my heart rate and those of everyone else who have spoken. It may not be viewed that way, but certainly is from us. There is no point of leverage. That's how many parents feel. There are many of us who were made big promises and believe in the vision of what this school was meant to be and still can be. But something has shifted this year. Something has shifted this year, and this isn't in my comments, but Lisa, I am sorry to hear what has happened to your family, and I am personally aware of other families who feel as though their special needs children have been run off intentionally. You are not alone. I'm disappointed that the board accepted a response to the family survey, that action items would be put together perhaps 6 months from the time of the survey. and I respect that the workload is high. But I also would tell you, or echo, because I've said this many times before, I have personally volunteered. I know the community of parents that are here at LCCA are exceptional. These are people who are driving an exceptional amount of distance to bring their children here. We are willing to do anything and everything to make this school successful. We believe in the mission. We believe in the right for parents to have a choice. There is nothing that we won't do to help this school be successful, but we are not given the opportunity to do so. And therefore, for reasons that seem to be of control, or I would say that it seems as though there's a necessity of control, that families have not been asked to carry some of the workload, and therefore you carry a lot of workload. I see that, and I respect that. But it doesn't mean that of all the surveys I've ever been a part of professionally, that it's ever been an acceptable response, that we wouldn't formulate responses to that in a timely fashion. At most, it's only ever been 60 days. I think the culture at this school has shifted, and I'm scared for what that means. Oh, okay. I'm not sure how long the staged comments lasted, but I'll continue to the extent that it's okay. I am very worried about the culture of this school. I think that we teach our kids every morning to say, I will grow my mind and improve my heart. And yet the culture and the underpinning of control and expectation for perfection is tearing them down. And you may not see that from 8 to 3, but we do every night. We do when they are scared to come to school in the morning, when they cry at night because things happen that they don't understand, that we can't make sense out of. You may not see it, but we do. And so I would ask you, please do not become complacent because there is a waiting list. Please do the math and figure out how many students need to exit this school before the financial burden of the school becomes a real issue. Because again, we all want to see the school succeed. I would ask you to listen to parents with your heart and your mind. Heed the warnings. Yes, there are great things going on at this school, but there are very concerning things. And to the extent that they are diminished or not heard or put off, you will continue to feel the temperature rising, because this is not a parent group who will stand by. That's why we're here to begin with. That's why the school exists to begin with, because of a parent who was not willing to stand by. I would ask the same thing, Mrs. Salhawk. Is it worth it? I think it is worth it, but I will not sacrifice my children on the altar of growth. I think it's worth it for the long term. Thanks.
Okay.
I'm Jessica Schultz. For staff that doesn't know me, I only have a child at East last year, so I have a 7th and 9th grader right now. It's my husband, Jason. I'm also the treasurer of the Legacy Committee. I hope you feel our support. We try to support you guys coming off of Teacher Appreciation Week. This is one of the major reasons why we are here. We love our teachers. You guys are amazing. With that said, I wanted to talk a little bit about the LCCA Day of Giving that happened last fall. As the treasurer, we did go and we wanted to use some of our funds towards science last year in the fall. We asked the question of whether the extensive wish list, we could purchase some of those items. We were told no, because those funds were the funds from the Day of Giving would be used towards science, the science wish list. So on April 24th, I did do a follow-up directly to Lori Kari, because I did volunteer 1 day a week last year in the business office working with Lori Kari. Hi Lori, I've been working on the TLC budget for the end of the year, and it has made me think about some of LCCA's fundraising. Wondering how the money has been spent has caused me some uneasiness. I'm aware and appreciate, underlined, that LCCA is very fiscally responsible. But instead of wondering about this, I thought I would go straight to the source of who does know. I would like some detail about the past Day of Giving during the fall of 2023. It's my understanding LCCA's fundraising efforts for the Day of Giving was for the science department, and there was a matching grant. In the spirit of transparency, I would like to know
How much was raised in total during the fundraising efforts surrounding the Day of Giving in the fall of 2023? Was a grant, matching or not, received related to the Day of Giving? And if so, for the science department, and if so, how much? What was purchased for the science department? Please include details as to what, when, which grade, campus, whether items was on the teacher wish list, helpful but not necessary, and the cost. How much is remaining from the amount that was donated during the Day of Giving campaign, including the matching gift? I realize you're extremely busy, so I very much appreciate any time you put into these answers. If I am wondering these things, I'm sure there are other parents who are curious too. Maybe you would also want to provide the details to Kendra to make the information publicly available. And so your efforts in producing this data isn't just for me. I would greatly appreciate if you could get this information to me by next Friday, May 3rd. That was over a week and a half out. Thank you so much in advance. Margaret, Tom, and Brian are CC'd on this, as I believe this information should be considered public records and not in violation of FERPA, since I'm not requesting any donor names, but they may want to confirm. That was on a Wednesday morning. I sent it the following Monday. I received this response from Margaret. Dear Mrs. Schultz, we have received your email, and though it is deficient as an official public records request, and LCCA does not have an obligation to respond to the questions posed, we are happy to provide you with the answers to your questions when we are able. LCCA is in the process of compiling such information, and we anticipate it will be completed in the next few months as we close out the fiscal year. When we have a summation available, we will certainly provide such documentation to you at that time. That's the end. I will let that response speak for itself. That is the type of response parents are receiving from administration. We don't feel supported.
Next is Rachel Powell.
I would like to share a recent email I sent to the administration and the response I got in reply regarding AP testing at LCCA. And I hope that you can hear through my email my love and appreciation for the school, as well as my desire for things to improve and opportunities for these kids to advance. Recently, my daughter took the AP Literature and Composition exam. Thanks to the advanced curriculum and high expectations at the school, my daughter walked away from the AP test feeling confident. She felt prepared thanks to the content she learned in both her composition and literature classes. She was excited to see essays similar to the ones she'd worked tirelessly to refine in class, and even wrote about the Odyssey. It was rewarding to know that LCCA had done such a fine job to prepare her for this test. Although my daughter felt good about the test, we learned that additional studying using the AP resources online would have been very helpful. But since we did not register her for the exam until spring, she did not have access to those until a few weeks before the test. Registering in the fall is the best way to fully prepare. We understand the wisdom in classical education not teaching to a test, but we also feel that since top-tier universities look very highly on AP classes and rarely accept students unless they have taken AP or honors courses, we needed to prepare for my daughter's future. We were told she could take any AP test without being enrolled in a course if we could find a local high school to proctor the test for her. This proved to be much harder than we anticipated. Although high schools in the area may proctor exams, they can and do refuse to proctor these tests for students not attending a school in their district. We currently live in Brookfield, and following the direction of the AP College Board, called Elmbrook School District, where my daughter lives, and they refused. Unfortunately, Elmbrook stated that despite us living in the district, because she attended a school not in the district, she could not take the exam. I discovered that Arrowhead and Kettle Moraine were the same. Oconomowoc High School was the only school willing to make an exception for my daughter, but it is not something they are willing to do in the future. Not only can schools deny proctoring tests for students, but several schools do not provide all the AP courses that could align with classes at LCCA. Latin is a major course not proctored at public schools. I recently reached out to the AP. Further investigation taught us that libraries and even private testing sites cannot proctor AP tests. I recently reached out to the college board to find if a school could provide proctoring for a test without actually teaching a course. I'm going to summarize here because I'm almost out of time. They responded, yes, that a school can, and all a school needed to do was to register and get a school code, and they could proctor a test. The response I got from the administration was, thank you for this information. At this time, LCCA is not planning to institute AP courses and testing on this site. I find this very concerning, where this is an opportunity for our students to show the hard work that they are doing and to display this even without much work on the school's part. All they need to do is register and then proctor these tests, and our students can get credit for what they are doing and plan for their future. Thank you.
Lindsay Zundel. I'm here so grateful for LCCA. And we've got 4 kids here. This past week, we attended an information meeting given by BYU admissions representative. In case you don't know what BYU is, it's a Division I school with almost 35,000 students and founded in 1875. The Wall Street Journal ranked them as the number 20 university in the nation this year. During this presentation, the admissions rep talked about how both GPA and honors or AP or IB classes are important parts of students' application. We spoke with her after the presentation and explained that although our classical charter school is quite rigorous, the classes are not labeled as AP or honors on the transcripts. She asked if there was any way the transcript could be modified to show that because it carries much more weight if a class is labeled as honors or AP. If it doesn't, they just assume it's a regular high school level class. She said the initial processing team that receives the transcripts marks them, and if it says AP or honors, you receive more points for those. We asked if BYU takes into consideration written information from the school about the school's curriculum. She was very clear that BYU does not accept letters like that as part of an application packet, and said that many other universities don't either. She explained that for BYU, the applications are standardized and there's simply no way to incorporate additional material. So I said to her, so the transcript is the letter, and she said, precisely. From a quick search, we found that UW-Madison's application page also stresses the importance of GPA in classes being honors or AP. Many universities, including Hillsdale, hold similar positions. The admissions rep recommended that students at our school take AP tests since our transcripts will not adequately demonstrate academic rigor. Regarding AP exams, we've been looking into Rachel, what it would take for our children to take them. It's a doable process if LCCA participates in the testing program, and very difficult and impossible if they don't. We know that the majority of LCCA's high school classes could be labeled as honors. We would respectfully request that they are labeled as such on the transcripts. Please note, this is not a request that the classes become even more challenging than they already are. In the current state, we're concerned about the ability of LCCA high school students to be accepted into the colleges of their choice, as well as their ability to receive scholarships. A natural outgrowth of children learning good and beautiful things and having a desire to learn is that they want to keep learning. Children's futures are at stake, and the time we have to set things on course for next year's seniors is short. Applications open on August 1st. While some of LCCA's future graduates may not choose to attend college, the goal of LCCA should be to make sure that every student has the maximum opportunity to attend an institution of higher learning. LCCA should be eager to showcase the quality of education provided here and clearly communicate the hard work the students have done and the excellence they've achieved. Appropriately labeling classes as honors classes and providing opportunities for the students to take AP exams are easy, achievable, and impactful steps that could be taken immediately. From the standpoint of LCCA's success and reputation, the children's success is the school's success. We hope as the current class of seniors is going into their senior year and beginning the college application process, that LCCA takes every opportunity to assist them in that process and provide every advantage they can. Thank you. Tracy Zundel.
I feel like I'm in the middle of the room, so I'm going to stand over here, and I hope that's okay. And there's my timer. So thank you to the board. Thank you for Ms. Daniel. Thank you for having us. I cannot imagine sitting in your seat during these meetings, and I'm very grateful that you guys are willing to do it. We love what our kids are learning at LCCA. I've loved hearing from the teachers. A lot of people that taught our children and we're very grateful for. And we hope that we've been able to help support the school. I want to talk about a couple things. One is communication, which I brought up last time. And was saying it about, I believe what you said about the rules of engagement. I'm a physician. When I was going through training, they taught us not to disclose errors because they were afraid of people getting sued. Now, that has been thoroughly debunked, and they've done studies and they've looked at this. And the physicians who get sued are the ones who don't disclose when there's an error because the family feels like they're having something hidden from them. So I loved last month when Tom was speaking to us, and I think he should be encouraged to continue to do so. We felt like we had engagement with the board. I felt like I was listened to, and it was hugely helpful in helping us feel heard. That was not on my remarks, and I'm already out of half my time. So I want to support my wife and Rachel with this. LCCA should be doing everything they can to make our up-and-coming class of college seniors look as good as possible. They should label the classes as AP. If they're AP level, they should label them as honors if they're honors level, because I can tell you, I work in the residency at MCW. I'm one of the associate program directors for the anesthesia residency. The applications that are coming through are incredible. They are polished, they are well worded, they are broad and diverse, they've done all these extracurriculars, there's all this stuff, but the candidates that are coming through are the same kids that have been coming through for the last 10 years. It's just the marketing has gotten so much more advanced and competitive. And so we need to be careful that we're not inadvertently disadvantaging our seniors. I've seen our seniors' curriculum. I've got a nephew who's in upper grades. He's being taught chemistry out of a college textbook. He should get credit for that. And he should be showcased, and we should be doing everything we can so that these applications just shine. And that's what we're hoping for. That's what we're hoping for when we ask for AP tests. That's what we're hoping for when we ask for these honors classes. I hear we're gonna have weighted GPA. I'm very excited to see what Ms. Danny has to say about that, because I think that's wonderful, and I think it's a step in the right direction. We got 1,700 applications last year for our program for 20 spots. We literally can't look at them all in detail. So any excuse we have to cut some, whether that's a failed test, whether that's a bad comment on one of their letters, we have to take them. And now I'm out of time. So we shouldn't do that to our kids. Thank you so much.
Stephanie Bauer.
I put my name in there and thought that I would just speak if I felt like I wanted to speak based on how I'm feeling in the moment, and I did not create a statement. So it's completely off the cuff. And there are parents here who I know have supported the school, and thank you for that. I also want to say gratitude to our board and our administration for staying true to the model on which the school was founded, which is our Hillsdale Classical model. You know, when I first came to the school as a parent and as an educator, there was a lot going on, and there still is, in our society and in the world of education. And so when I saw there was going to be a classical model, I thought, man, that's incredible. And how brave of these people to start a school like that, because that's not found very often around here. And it's also pretty limited to where you can get it if you don't have the funding. And I didn't. I'm a teacher. I can't afford to send my kid to a school for 50 grand a year. It's not happening. So I just want to say thank you for staying true to that model of where we are training the minds, we are recruiting the heart. I know my son has gained so much academically, socially, and as a human. And he's a tough cookie. And he does not fit inside the box of what your typical child, some people think a typical child should look like. And LCCA, the teachers, the special ed department has also been supportive of helping to find creative ways to keep him engaged and to keep his learning accelerating. So I just want to say thank you. That's all I have.
Eric Higginson.
Mine was really just a helpful suggestion. Hopefully it was just to make the forms, the comment forms available online as like a PDF or something like that, so that people know they're going to be running late, but they're not coming in and trying to interrupt, to get up here and get a thing, or to submit with one word on it, which is what happened last week for me, but the last time when you came up here, I just kind of got here right at the nick of time and barely had enough time to put it in there, so I just thought that'd make it easy. And so, and I do just want to clarify, because last week, or last meeting, Tom said that when we make a comment here, it is officially heard by the school, as Mrs. Davies right here. And so I just want to clarify that he was incorrect in that, then?
I have to talk to Tom about that and revisit that what was.
That's what, I'm just clarifying that that's what that was being spoken to with that comment this evening, is that when people do make a comment here, it is not being heard by the school. Correct?
I will reach out to you after the meeting.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Karen Sharkey. Hi there. My name is Karen Sharkey. My husband Michael is also here. We've been here since the beginning of the school. We were driving a total of 3 hours one way for the first year and a half, and actually moved our lives out here to continue to be part of the school, because we so believe in its mission, and we so believe in why it was started. You took all the parents who care the most and you put them all in one school. And so we really appreciate that. And so, like others have said, I don't think that that when we voice concern, that it negates our appreciation for what the school's mission is and why it was started. When we first came here, we were not coming from a bad situation. We were coming from actually a really great situation. I was homeschooling, we really loved it. I was very familiar with the classical model. And actually Bart Williams took over 3 hours of his personal time over the course of a couple weeks to talk me through some things and to help me decide which was the best situation moving forward. I felt so heard, and I felt appreciated. I felt that he really cared. And so here we are. And that first year, there was a lot of, it's our first year, we need to have grace. But there were some molehills that I saw that were kind of concerning, and it was okay, well, I don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill. And then it started to come, well, the molehills kind of feel like they might become a mountain. And then it started to feel like actually the molehills are actually starting to feel like we're going to collapse the foundation. And so the two things that I want to speak to right now is, first of all, the survey results. I'm confused why we do a survey if there isn't a response of action. I'm also really appreciate that we're moving more toward third party, that being done by a third party, but I would argue that for it to truly be done by a third party, the things that are being touched upon and the people that are being touched upon should not be the ones making the questions. So it should be completely third party in that the questions being asked are done completely by an outside organization. So that there's just no skewing one way or another. I would also say that, I feel confused about the stepping away from operational issues. As somebody else had mentioned, the policies being changed feels like that was kind of came out of nowhere. But that my understanding is also that there's less a desire for board members because they're too concerned. But if you look at anyone else who's running for school board at any other public school, they will. We had one recently in our community, and one of the biggest things that negated that person was that they did not have a child in that school district. And so I would say that it's very important to continue to have parents on the school board, and that coming away from that would really be a disservice to the community. It feels right now that those board policies that were kind of surprise adopted were set up to have no checks and balances. Right now, I think what's happening is that if parent concerns are falling on deaf ears, or if answers are given without reason, without giving a reason or seeming to have any reason or logic for the answers given, that it's going to really lower the morale of the school community, which I think is what you're seeing as more parents stand up and voice their concerns. So I would just say that, in an effort to not only tell that we want to improve our hearts and grow our minds, I would challenge that everyone involved is doing that from the top down. So improving hearts being something where the parents are being truly heard and their input is valued, rather than essentially being given no place for involvement, and not actually staying true to what we are told this is a classical school.
citizens forum for this evening. We will now move into the treasurer's report. So with the treasurer's report and going forward with our reports, actually, make a motion to receive the treasurer's report prior to giving a report. So, would someone like to make a motion to receive the treasurer's report? I'll make a motion to receive the treasurer's report. Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Karen, was that a yay? Said I, okay, you did, okay. Motion passes, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for the attendance, everybody. This is great. April 30th, cash on hand plus equivalents was a tick over 2.1 million compared to about $1 million the end of April of 2023. We're using the term equivalents also now because we have two interest-bearing accounts outside of our normal operating account. The Waukesha State Bank operating account balance was about $400,000, and the two interest-bearing accounts are 1.76 million. We're presently earning about $5,000 a month in interest, given the current interest rate climates on our interest-bearing accounts. Regarding cash projections, there haven't been any material changes to what's been discussed most of this year. We're expecting cash by the end of the year to be 2.4 million. If you're reviewing the budget reports provided, the expenses year-to-date are 64.1% for 10 months, or 83.3% of the way through the year, so expenses year-to-date are about 23% below budget. Looking at overall liquidity, we are still projecting going into next year, if we look at the projected expenses of having 114 days cash on hand, so that's approximately enough cash on hand to operate the school for 3 months. I'm sorry, 4 months. We should go back to math. Which is a 32% improvement from where we were last year. Last year, we ended at 87 days cash on hand going into this school year. And coming out of the first year, we were 30 days cash on hand. So you can see the significant improvement in overall liquidity. And I will also mention, we still have our line of credit of $500,000. It has not been used this year. That concludes my report.
Any questions for Brian?
I have a question. I don't know if you can answer, Brian, or maybe Margaret. Just when I looked at your interest-bearing accounts of 1.759 and 5,000 a month interest, that comes to about 3.4%. I'm just wondering if we've looked at, are we maximizing our interest earning potential on those long term?
Good question. I would defer that to Margaret and her team. Maybe she has an answer now.
Okay. And I might be able to.
Any questions? Yeah. Okay, so now moving on to the head principal's report. Would someone like to make a motion to receive the head principal's report?
I'll motion to receive the head principal's report.
I'll second. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And the motion passes. Okay, Margaret?
Great, thank you. Just highlighted a couple fun events from the last month on the first page through introduction. The third annual gallery night was another huge success on April 18th. And the LCCA theater production of The Music Man Jr. was also excellent performance and just a wonderful opportunity for the community to support our students in the fine arts. If you progress to page 3, you'll notice the enrollment application count continues to rise. In order to send you my report in advance, I took the 290 application count as of May 7th, but I did peek at it today and we have received 5 more applications since then. So we have received 295 applications for the 24-25 school year, and our wait list currently sits at 155 students. On the following page, page 4, to follow up on some discussion from last month regarding exit surveys.
I wanted to clarify that last year exit surveys were sent to any family who withdrew a student from LCCA during the school year or after the last day of school. Our transition from Schoolmint to Skyward did not automatically send an exit survey to any families who did not commit to return during the January survey time. This year, families who communicated that they do not intend to return on the January survey will be sent an exit survey. Those families received confirmation email notifying them that an exit survey will be emailed at the end of the school year. Any family that withdraws a student during the school year or after the last day of school continues to receive an exit survey. And moving forward, exit survey data will be summarized and included with the presentation of enrollment data in the October board meeting. Moving into the financial report, the highlight for the month was that the membership audit was filed on May 1st. And looking at the current income statement, you'll have noticed that the majority of our revenue received in April was for the upcoming Liberty Gala held this Friday. Expenses or expenditures were purchased services, including monthly payments to facility vendors. Expenses were paid for the One Campus project that we're pursuing, and we also made a payment to the mobile units or the upper elementary building for the 4 additional classrooms that were added on last summer. In our budget versus actual report, you'll notice that revenue is more than budgeted for school activity income and student fees, and the other line items are on pace with what was projected to date. Construction services is over the budgeted amount due to the One Campus expenditures that we have been making recently in the last few weeks. In the bank reconciliation report, the April bank statement for the checking account reconciles to the ending balance of $437,231.71, and the money market account reconciles to the ending balance of $1,005,205.95. The deposits, as I said, were comprised of gala donations and ticket sales, as well as student user fees for the 24-25 school year. Many of the checks processed in April were standard monthly and quarterly operating expenses. Moving on in my report to page 5, I have included a survey response update. And you'll notice that recall that the January family survey conveyed overwhelming positive responses with some critical feedback specific to the Upper School West culture. Administrative efforts over the last months to continue culture development have included the potential of a talent show, which, as you know, didn't happen due to lack of student interest. We've brought in and continue to bring in guest speakers. We have facilitated student recognition, art awards, Latin awards, etc. We have optimized outdoor instructional time, and we pulled off our first prom week with theme days every day leading up to the first successful prom, and we did have a student committee provide input on what they wanted for that event and how they wanted that event to come about. Looking to next school year, administration has determined to implement student council in the high school, 9th through 12th grades. We're currently in discussions with teachers on how we might best plan and facilitate that. A second review of the survey results and further considerations and planning of appropriate action will be given over the summer months. Finally, we have 2 items later in the agenda, the uniform policy draft revisions and the family handbook draft revisions that we'll discuss at that time. And that concludes my report for this month.
Okay, any questions for Margaret on the reports?
Quick question on the exit surveys. You mentioned there was a technical issue with Schoolmint not sending them out before.
We transitioned the commit to return from Schoolmint to Skyward, and exit surveys were sent manually, and that action was not maintained when we transitioned to Skyward.
Okay.
An oversight on our part.
Just kind of thinking about this under the context of the enrollment report, which we get quarterly, that the board calendar says we'll get it quarterly, that's specified in the charter agreement. I'm just curious how the rest of the board thinks about the attrition that we experience over the course of the year. That is reported quarterly because we see the waitlist trends in the context of the exit interviews only being provided once a year. So I think I had heard a suggestion once before about maybe using a third party. We're using Skyward, the school system, to maybe encourage greater participation in the exit surveys and maybe take some workload off the administrative team. I'm just curious if there's been any thoughts on that specifically, or if the board has any thoughts on it, because I was just thinking about it. We have it in the board calendar, separated the enrollment variance report and the exit surveys, but I can see how they could be considered kind of one and the same thing also.
Well, I personally think October is a little bit too, if we're trying to bring back people who are on the fence about their enrollment, October's gonna be way too late for that. So I would like to see it earlier in October personally.
So you wanna see what happened?
And exit, I'd like to see the exit survey sooner than October.
You wanna see the exit survey results from the end of this year, that are given at the end of this school year, and you wanna see before the October thing. Well, we can, I think what we do is we discuss that. We're gonna have to, in July, we're gonna need to approve our planning calendar for the next fiscal year. So anything, that's when we can kind of look at what have we done and when these things happen, and we can analyze what makes the most sense going forward. So I think July meeting will be the one where we figure it out.
If the exit surveys are, if people are saying they do not intend to return in January, I think that's 9-10 months later that we'll know why they didn't want to come back. It just seems like a really, really long time to wait. That's my personal opinion. I think it's important to comply. Maybe doing all of these surveys at the time going forward. You want them all at the same time?
Is that how it's happening? I'm understanding it to be like the end of the year is when the surveys are going out, and then you're taking all the information and compiling it, whatever time is left in the school year, and then it will be presented in October.
An exit survey, if they withdraw the school year, an exit survey automatically goes when we receive a records request from another district. The exit survey to those who communicated they were not intending to return in January will be sent at the end of this school year. So we'll receive results in June if people are responding to it upon receipt.
You can certainly, I mean, it kind of depends on when they responded. You know, if they've all responded, like say she sends it out, or it gets sent out, and people respond to it and they have that information, then certainly it could be reported on sooner. You don't have to wait till October, but at the same time, there may be only a couple responses, and do we want to wait and give it more time for people, for more responses to come in before we report on that? Because we don't want to be hitting it every month.
Quarterly.
Well, the charter agreement specifies a quarterly enrollment report. I think what we're missing is a definition of what that actually means. I don't know if it's something that statute defines, or that's something that we as a board have to establish through policy.
Well, I would be happy to contact, our authorizer and ask them. And that would be fair, so. And then from there, timing and what makes sense going forward. I know that these are May updates, because we're in the month of May now, but I wanted to thank everybody that's helping get this gal off the ground, well, not off the ground, but get it to the finish line on Friday. I know there's a lot of people working very hard at that. I look forward to attending myself, so thank you. And for everybody that helped show our teachers appreciation last week also. Thank you for everything that you've done. Not meaning to grandstand or anything here. My only last question was on the survey. You had mentioned, Margaret, that you would be compiling thoughts and actions from the second review over the summer. Do you have a time frame on when you think you'll report to the board on that? Because we don't meet in August, so would that be in the July meeting?
before the school year would be good to see it, but.
Before the start of the school year, yeah.
Well, we currently don't meet in August, so unless we call a meeting for August, it would have to be in the July meeting. So maybe it's something we can talk about. This is the first reading, so maybe it's something we can figure out. Okay, that was all I had.
Any other questions for Margaret before we move on? Okay. All right. Thank you. So moving on to new business, the first item we have is this item was actually presented last month at the April 17th board meeting, but because it was a last minute addition to the agenda, we need to repeat this action for this meeting because we learned, which, we're still learning, right? That we cannot make last minute changes to the agenda right before the meeting starts. So thank you to the parent who pointed that out to us. And we are, in our efforts to do better, we are, it's not just the policy work, but it's also the protocol meetings and how it works. So moving on, what we're gonna do to correct this is to essentially do this item over again. Since it has had ample notice, we are going to essentially represent it and do it all over again. So with that, it's the additional funds for district multiple coverage insurance, and so this is the only action item we have this evening. Margaret, do you want to give a brief overview, seeing what you did last one?
Sure. So we're discussing line item 715, district multi-coverage in our budget. We anticipated a 13% increase from last year's budgeted amount of $20,302 to $23,000 and included that in the 23-24 board approved budget. But as you know, LCCA has always been fully insured with ample coverage in all areas. And in February 2024 was the renewal for our insurance coverage, which resulted in a higher rate increase than anticipated. This is due to an increased student count, which impacted our liability insurance, an increase in payroll, impacting workers' compensation and the workers' comp audit fee. Also a change in our umbrella coverage, which we increased from $2 million to $5 million at the time that Tavish Mullet bought the East property from Holy Trinity and requested that increase take place with the transfer of ownership. So I am requesting approval of a $15,000 increase to item 715, district multi-coverage, to cover greater than anticipated rate increases in auto, umbrella, workers' compensation, and commercial insurance. Simply, the additional increase of $15,000 is due to an increase in insurance premiums above what was projected at the time of the 23-24 budgeting process.
So, thank you. So the motion is to approve up to $15,000 to cover additional increase in district multiple coverage insurance. Would someone like to make that motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve the increased $15,000 coverage for this year's operating budget.
Second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Thoroughly answered it, Margaret, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve up to $15,000 to cover additional increase in district multiple coverage insurance. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay, and the motion passes. Okay, we're moving on to the next item of business, which is the revised LCCA family handbook. This is the first reading. We will not be opinion on this tonight. It's just to have Margaret point out any changes that have been made, and then we'll have a chance to mull this over, and then at the next meeting, we'll vote to. Thank you.
So you've received the red line draft of the proposed 24-25 family handbook. And if you've had a chance to peruse it at all, you'll notice that the majority of the additions are editing of semantics, grammar, logistical details for the purpose of clarity with not a lot of change to meaning. But there are some main ideas that I want to draw your attention to. So as you review over the upcoming month leading up to next week's board meeting, you're directed to the most important parts where additions and changes have been made. So on page 17, we added a description of lunch detentions, which have been in effect at West, but not previously described in the handbook. On page 27, we clarified enrichment eligibility. It seemed previously to imply that first semester enrichment was dependent on the second semester of the previous school year, and we weren't actually applying it in that way. No student is penalized during first semester of school year for previous semester's report card. So we clarified the language there. We also, on page 33, page 37, and page 39 have touched on curriculum information and grading information. The family handbook now includes a statement of LCCA's approach to advanced placement, and the full statement would be posted on our website over the summer. In the grading section, adjustments have been made to the high school grading scale to include a weighted GPA, which would be retroactively applied to our current high school students. That weighted GPA would give additional credit to high school history courses, high school literature courses, introduction to moral and political philosophy in 10th grade, economics in 10th grade, moral and political philosophy in 11th grade, any math course beyond calculus, and any Latin course beyond Latin 2. As I said, that the application of that affording students an unweighted and weighted GPA on transcripts will be retroactive to current high school students and be reported in transcripts and report cards moving forward beginning the 24-25 school year. We also have a new statement in the handbook regarding Wisconsin Act 95, which requires high schools to provide class ranking beginning in the 11th grade. We will be compliant with that with our first class of 11th graders this year, though it is applicable in the 24-25 school year. We will not calculate rank beyond the top 10% of the class, and then there are stipulations and clarifications within that act that define how and what to calculate based on class size. So we will adhere to that Wisconsin Act 95 as it's written, and that's explained and included in the handbook. Additionally, we included some corrections and updates to our general communications section, including the social media accounts that we currently have active that's being used by our communications manager to date. And we added assistant principals into the communication structure, as well as updates requested by Christina Borex in the governance and management section. So as you peruse those details and those edits, if you have any questions, please reach out. Otherwise, we will discuss and we will ask for a motion to approve at next month's board meeting. So, questions? Discussion?
Provided a nice summary for us. Touches on all the changes that have been made.
Just for my benefit, probably others, Act 95 is a fairly hot topic at other public schools. Just a high level, the purpose of the ranking the top 10%. So, correct me if I'm wrong, is the top 5 are guaranteed admission to UW-Madison of any school within their class, right? So the top 5 of LCCA as ranked.
Top 5%.
Yes, top 5%. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. Are guaranteed admission to UW-Madison, and the top 10% are admitted to any UW school. Am I correct on that? So that's really the purpose behind the ranking, and beyond 10%, Act 95 wouldn't apply.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure I had that straight. On the weighting, just some points of clarity. As I'm looking at the curriculum map, if I don't have this right, correct me. So it looks like the standard track for literature for a 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th all those classes would be weighted on a 5.0 scale?
That's correct.
Okay.
Literature classes, and then you can see in that, the American government is included in the history. So all history classes, all literature classes, including American government.
Okay.
Which is a 12th grade course, so we haven't actually ruled that out yet.
Alright. And then philosophy, there's 10th grade and 11th grade, I think intro to moral philosophy.
Intro to moral philosophy is a single semester course in 10th grade, and then
Okay.
moral and political philosophy is a full year course in 11th grade.
Got it.
Economics is also only a single semester in 10th grade, but we'll be weighting that as well.
The Latin states it's any course above 2. I think our 9th graders for the curriculum map is Latin 4. So with those taking Latin in high school above 2, that would be a weighted also?
That's correct.
Okay. The other foreign languages, when we offer them, will that be considered weighted or just Latin?
Just Latin.
And then math, it says above calculus.
That's right.
Do we have plans to offer above calculus?
We will be offering about calculus next year, is that correct?
Linear algebra.
Okay. Just looking at the curriculum map, doesn't have that, so. Doesn't look like any of the sciences are weighted, is that correct?
That's correct.
Just curious if you, can you provide any color on why certain subjects are, like literature as an example, I guess would be, have all 4 years are weighted, but science is not at all, and is that like a, does that guidance come from the administration, within Hillsdale? How did we arrive at those?
I'll call on Dr. Wozniak, assistant principal of the upper school, to give you some color on that.
Currently, the science courses that we teach and the math courses we teach are fairly typical in, compared to a regular high school. So they would not warrant the level of an honors type course. The unique nature of the way that Hillsdale treats literature and history and economics and philosophy and Latin would warrant more of an honors type level recognition.
On the, if you go to the curriculum on the website, so you can click on any grade, you can see exactly what we offer. Is there a plan to update that with what to be weighted also?
Yes, we have to do some work on the website over the summer.
All right, well, I appreciate the explanation on that. There is, on page 33, there's, you mentioned the AP section. That's all added entirely, so that's all new language for the handbook on our position. I'm just curious, is the reasoning to not offer AP courses, is that primarily philosophical in nature, or is it, there's an administrative burden? I've read that we're following the Hillsdale model, and there's 50 schools following that model, so I'm just curious if it's the philosophical in nature in terms of the curriculum we're offering, or if there's another administrative aspect of deciding how to do it this time. So I just want to elaborate on that.
Yeah, sure. AP program requires courses to be aligned to the AP curriculum. In other words, you have to use the textbooks that AP prescribes or recommends. AP courses, you can't just call a course AP. Those have to be certified through AP, through the College Board. Those curricula, by and large, do not align with Hillsdale curriculum. In one regard, you have to be in
So I'm aware that there are other Hillsdale schools offering AP testing. Is there a reason they do that? Is that a state mandate? Is there a reason we're not doing that?
So we have done some significant research into the different Hillsdale schools and those that do offer AP and those that don't. Some of it is tied to their different state regulations and their own charter agreements. Others are just choosing not to provide it in the same way that we are, because they see the fidelity of the Hillsdale material and curriculum. And so in our research on all of those things and conversations with the admissions office of Hillsdale College as well as the curriculum director in the Hillsdale K-12 office, we feel confident in our decision to move forward as we are.
Without offering testing?
That's right.
I couldn't help but notice when I walked up the stairs, the college news board over there, and there's some materials that talk about support for ACT, SAT, those kind of things. Is there a thought that to point the students in the right direction, should families want to do their own AP test?
Yes, so it says, it will explain in the handbook that we will provide support and guidance to those students who do want to independently pursue taking an AP exam.
Have you guys done any initial research where they might do that? How they might do that for students?
I will have to touch base with Mrs. Wagner, our college counselor, to get an update on where she is in the process, but it isn't currently ongoing.
I only have a couple more questions, but Randy, if you got to jump in. Regarding the disciplinary, the addition of the lunch detention, I guess my question really kind of pertains to the charter agreement and what the process of getting Washington County to accept those edits is. Is it, do they have to, does the board have to approve language before it can be submitted to Washington County? Or
Washington County does not approve our handbook, it's board approved. We simply have to have one.
Is that your question?
oh, maybe I was misunderstanding some language in the charter agreement. I thought it said that we had to submit all policy changes to student discipline to Washington County for approval. Maybe I didn't understand that right, so I'm just curious what if we had to, what our process was.
I'd be happy to add that to my list of questions for the office.
You said it's nothing new, so I guess the question is, if it's added to the handbook, also will you be reporting on that as part of your monthly report, like how many lunch detentions we give?
No,
Or
because we don't currently track it in the student record.
Okay.
Simply actually responsive to some parent feedback we received. So we're including it in there to proactively inform parents a little bit more in advance on the usage of lunch detentions.
So to clarify, what's reported on is just disciplinary action taken that is in the official student record.
Correct. Suspensions, that's what we report on.
But I'll have an answer for you.
Edits surrounding, student services. Just wanna make sure that we don't have any issues as it relates to Wisconsin statute or Title IX. So just a generic question, if we had sought legal counsel on that edit, if we're good to go there.
We are good to go there.
Okay.
Where's that from? What edits that?
It's on page last question, really just revolves around, there's a couple sections that talk about the governance of the board. And I guess my concern with that is just, I don't think we've made edits on this in the nearly 3 years I've been on the board. So just thinking about it in the context of where the board derives its authority, which is like Wisconsin statute and our charter agreement. I'm wondering if we're not just setting ourselves up for conflict with our actual governance documents, which is the bylaws and other policies that we've put in place. So like the code of conduct, the language policy, no action until, those are really the documents that govern how the board acts. So we're attempting to clarify the board's role. I don't feel the family handbook is a place to do it, because we have it listed in other places.
Right, I mean, is it redundant?
Well, I think it creates conflict if the wording isn't exactly right. So, as an example, at the top, there's a edit that. It's right up the front. See it? No, it's up the front.
Yeah, there were 2 sections.
Front says, it's just a paragraph, but it said previously it said the board's purview includes, but is not limited to, budgeting, spending, community outreach, fidelity, the school's founding documents, compliance with applicable law, development of appropriate school mission. That's what it previously said. So there's a strike here that says the board's purview includes striking, but it's not limited to. So it's saying the board's purview is really defined at budget, spending, charter fidelity, compliance with applicable law, and development of appropriate support program. So it's kind of, it's really narrowing the scope of the board's authority, which I don't think is appropriate to do in the family handbook.
Okay, you're on page 55 or you're?
I'm just on.
He's on page 7.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering if governance should even be in the handbook at all, or if it is, we point it back to, the actual statutes, charter agreement, and our bylaws in lieu of, because I just see how this could create conflict for us in the future to try and, the wording may not be exactly the same between all 3 documents.
You're saying it either should be in there or make sure it's consistent.
Yeah, or if I had my druthers, I would just say, point back to the actual documents that we use for governance. I'm not an attorney, Skylar's not here, so.
Yeah, I mean, it might be something we asked Skylar about, but was it originally in the handbook, like the model handbook from Hillsdale, is that where we got it?
That's why it was originally there. The edits and changes are what you submitted to me.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I think, my guess, and we can follow up with Hillsdale, I would be happy to, and just say, this is the model that, we're considering taking this out, is there a reason why we shouldn't, based on, agreement with other schools and things like that.
I mean, we certainly get their input, and my point is just that our authority kind of comes from statute and the charter agreement, and then we have, we have the bylaws that dictate how we operate, and all the details behind that, so I just feel that's the right place for it to be, and not in the handbook. Just generic.
I think it's worth, decide whether or not we want to do that or not.
That's all.
I don't have any questions, I think it's pretty straightforward, but does anyone else?
No, I think you answered.
So, right, well, we'll revisit this and have it as an action item at June meeting.
Okay. Thank you for your review. Should I move on to the
Move on
next?
to the next one,
Okay.
which is, we have to actually, it's just a discussion of the revised uniform policy that we're, which we're school year.
So very few changes to The uniform policy for next year, we just added some clarifying language on some of the different sections, for which we had received feedback. And oftentimes questions had arisen, so we tried to go back and answer any of the questions that we dealt with, over the course of the school year. And just put in some, clarifying details, modifiers to make sure that, it's well understood what the expectations are. And then the one unique change is to transition from, in the shoe section, to narrow it down to all black or all white. The reason for that change is based mostly on faculty feedback, regarding the difficulty in monitoring compliance in footwear. So to simplify the expectation, will allow for an easier compliance process. The only other change is the clarification in spirit wear days and some additional detail in the casual days. How those will be run next year.
This may be this might be a dumb question, just looking at one thing. Cause I have 4 boys, girls, but it says no, it was added, no neon, it said no neon nail polish before, but now it says no neon nail polish, or nail polish, sorry. Is that just like yellow or it's bright? Is it the gloss? I don't know.
And now you know the beauty of the uniform policy. People define neon differently, so we added a clarifier, bright or neon.
Okay.
So trying to.
Neon yellow.
Neon girls.
You're right, I know.
Thank you. You're welcome.
So moving on to the next section of board development, I thought it would be nice to share, unfortunately Skylar's not here tonight, he attended board training, but both Randy, Skylar, and I were at board training in April at Hillsdale College, and wanted to just share some lessons learned every time I've gone, and this time is the first time I've actually been both a presenter and a participant, so it's kind of a unique situation. But I always learn something new, and I'm hopeful that I think Randy and Skylar also learned quite a bit, so I thought it'd be just nice to hear from your point of view, some takeaways from training. That was helpful.
Sure. Since we've been here a while, I'll only hit on a few highlights, but like one of the things that they talked about that I thought was really useful was a board self-evaluation. So we talked about evaluating school leaders, but I thought that was a really good comment, is to take some time to evaluate the board, what are we doing well, where could we improve, and I know we have lots of feedback to work from. So I thought that was a very helpful suggestion of something I hope we can incorporate. So another thing that sort of took away from it was there's a lot of different schools that are at different stages. Some just starting out behind LCCA, some years ahead. And there's a lot of talk about sort of a founding board, versus an oversight board, and that transition process, and it can be very challenging to make that transition. But one of the things I took away from that was more, as the board, as an oversight board, we want to create the strategy, we want to create the boundaries for what we want for our school leader. We need to have a way to evaluate and make sure that those boundaries are being honored and those strategies being and goals are being accomplished. And then get involved where we need to on those items, or if there are other bounds for the school leader. So I think that was really something that I can sort of see. I'm fairly new here, but there's sort of that challenge, and I feel like to not get involved in some of decisions, and I know you're just talking to other people as experts, you get people on both sides, and you get one issue and two people passionate about opposite outcomes, and a decision has to be made based on the bigger picture and, listening to all the feedback. So I just thought that was something too that we could be cognizant of and talk about, is that transition from a founding to an oversight board, and, and being involved where we should be involved, and spend the time where we should spend it, and not get caught up, which is hard to do in some of the things that are the job of our experts and our administrators. And I'll say that the last thing I'll mention that was really enlightening for me is, because there was these schools, a lot of them represented, and a lot of them at different stages, is, I've been here now 4 months, but all the things I've heard, they almost all came up with the other schools. So it made me feel a little better that these are challenges that these other schools, including the really successful ones, have faced and overcame. And obviously we have to make sure we're doing the right things to fix the challenges and jump the obstacles, rather than just saying, hey, it'll all work itself out. But I thought it was encouraging that all the schools have passionate parents. That's why the kids are there. They want to be involved. They want the best for their kids. They want input. And so I just found it, I guess, you'd like to have all challenges resolved, but encouraging that others are facing the same and they've been able to overcome them, and that we have resources. And there are a lot of people that say, hey, give us a call anytime if you're facing a challenge. We can give you ideas on how we overcame that, some of the ways to address it. So that was another takeaway that I thought was really, really helpful in making those contacts with others at different stages.
Yeah, the networking for sure, really validated time, in addition to the workshops and sessions. Thank you. And one other thing, we spent that Friday afternoon, just Skylar, Randy, and I talking about the goal sessions, and that was one other, along with the board self-evaluation. I think that's something that we really, it's so, we're all so busy, sometimes it's hard to stop and really rethink, like, where do we want to be in 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, and having that sort of framework so we know what we're working towards. That is the goal, we gotta figure out, working within the mission and figuring out where we want to be 10 years from now. So this summer, I know we've already talked about this, but we'll do some sort of an off-site strategic planning, board self-evaluation type. We'll talk about all this.
And how to measure success.
Right. And another piece that, as you alluded to, that I think we need to work on sooner than later, in addition to, we've all been probably an upcoming, we'll have to do it as a virtual open session, is to talk about our bylaws and getting those updated. We have several other board policies that have yet to be written, including executive limitation policies, which is what provides that framework for your school leader and her team, so you say, here's where thou shall not do this or that, and you create this boundary. And then that gives them the freedom to work within that circle and run the school as they see fit, as long as they don't, break out of that boundary or do something they're not supposed to. And that is how we keep things in check. And so that is on getting drafts of those written, EACP, so we can get, that will be our assignment over the summer, is to get those executive policies written and in place by the start of school. But, so that was good. The other thing I wanted to share that I had just in discussions with other board members, because first of all, you notice the agenda format was a little different this time around, and that's basically due to some research Stacy did, which I'll let you speak to that in a second. But I was curious to know how other boards post their information, when they post it. Everyone I talked to anyway, when you have a report, like the treasurer's report, school leader report, etc., they don't post it ahead of the meeting because it has not yet been received by the board. So that's going to become a public document when it's been presented to the board. So right after this meeting, we can post all these things we just talked about to the agenda, but it shouldn't happen prior to the start of the meeting.
You wouldn't post the handbook.
Oh, that's fine.
Because it's not approved yet, we have to wait for it to be approved.
We have to wait for it to be
next
approved.
month.
Right, so right now, no, that's true, so I'm sorry, I mean, no, not the handbook, but the school year report.
Oh, yes,
That could be posted. And the reason why the handbook can't be posted is because it's still in draft form.
Right.
It's not, so we have, once it's approved, then we'll post it, right? And same with meeting minutes, now Brian, you brought this up a while ago when we asked the question, and you were right about this. Because, whether or not board meeting minutes should be posted before they're actually approved by the board. Everyone I talk to does not post meeting minutes until the next board meeting when they get approved and then post them. Because it needs to be approved. So that is also something we're gonna do better at. The good news is we'll still continue to record meetings, and so if parents wanna know what's happened before they wait for the minutes to the next meeting, they're always absolutely know. But, we're going to do better about, sort of the format in which we post information when it happens. So, any questions on that? Okay. Did you wanna say anything more about?
I was just gonna say, just the agenda, just trying to change the format to kind of line up more with gratitude orders and putting things in the right spot, so to say. Some of the things we have a consent agenda, from what I understand, reports that we give and stuff like that. We're not looking for like the approvals of the existing, exactly, and then reports and stuff like that. So just trying to tweak it a little bit to make it more efficient when we're going through, and knowing exactly what category we're falling into.
Thanks for researching that. That's all I have. Let's determine if anything we learned before training us, whatever it was you guys went last.
I guess, a quick question on the agenda, so this time around we have things in the new business section, will that mean we have an old business section also?
If there is something that would be carried over from the last meeting that we haven't, then there would be a old business section, but we didn't have anything from that.
Should we determine that coming out of this meeting, then, what is old and new? Well, I guess just old.
Old, yeah, but if we've gone through everything within the agenda, then there would be nothing to carry over.
So would the family handbook next be the old business, but would be an action item under old business? Or would that? I'm sorry, putting you on the spot. But I don't know.
I think because we're asking for an action on it, and I will look into it a little bit deeper too, because we're gonna vote on it next time around, that it would be in the new business, but
Okay, oh, okay.
but I will look to see if that would be under old business and verify that, yes.
Alright, no, that's great, thank you. Okay, anything else? Okay, so the next item on here is closed session, if needed, and as it turns out, we don't need it tonight, there's nothing to talk about there, so we're gonna move on to adjournment. So, would someone like to make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
Move to adjourn.
Second?